¿Qué pasó, amigo? Jaime Cocina here. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Cómo te llamas? Jaime Cocino. Not Jaime Cocina. Pete Pucci. Okay, that's all the Spanish I got for you today. But I got more coming. Live from the border. Brought to you by Donald Trump. California sanctuary cities. Donald Trump has a deal for you. The crisis at the border? We're moving to your city. Chicago, New York, San Francisco. Bring in your Central American people to our towns where they will get benefits to help them into our society. Let's forget about the mass amount of people on the streets now. But this video is brought to you by Donald Trump because he wants to end this crisis. But if you listen to the media, there is no crisis. Thousands and thousands of men, women, and children are walking for miles and miles to get to a border where they're not let in. And some of these women are getting taken advantage of by coyotes. Human trafficking. That, my friend, sounds like a crisis. Now get ready, because the divide in this country is about to get worse. And I know who's doing it. It's the Russians. The Russians are sending the Mexicans and the Guatemalans and the Central Americans to America. That's who's doing it, the Russians. Watch this next video clip, and you tell me what you think about the Russians sending these Central Americans to our country in America, which was previously Mexico. California was Mexico. Don't you forget that, all right? I hope you found this video amusing. Now watch this mainstream media newscast harp on this non-emergency at the border. You decide, emergency or non-emergency.
To the escalating battle over immigration, President Trump says he's sending more troops to the border as he confirms he's seriously considering a plan to release illegal immigrants in sanctuary cities. ABC's White House correspondent Tara Palmieri is on the North Lawn with the latest. Tara, good morning.
Good morning, Janae. This idea of using migrants for political retaliation has been both publicly and privately dismissed by the president's advisors, but now he's breathing new life into this idea as he struggles to stem the flow of migrants at the border. This morning, hundreds of migrants in southern Mexico making the trek to America's border. This as President Trump embraces unprecedented and potentially illegal action against asylum seekers.
They're always saying they have open arms. Let's see if they have open arms.
The president telling reporters that he may follow through on a fringe proposal to bus detained undocumented migrants and release them into so-called sanctuary cities, where local authorities refuse to cooperate with immigration officials. The plan was brought up twice by the Trump administration, but a White House spokesperson dismissed the proposal after it was revealed in the Washington Post, saying, quote, "This was just a suggestion that was floated and rejected, which ended any further discussion." But President Trump seeming to resurrect the plan.
We are looking at the possibility, strongly looking at, to be honest with you.
Targeting cities like New York, Chicago, and San Francisco, a sanctuary city in House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's district.
California certainly is always saying, oh, we want more people. We can give them an unlimited supply. And let's see if they're so happy.
It's not just another notion that is unworthy of the presidency of the United States.
President Trump has long threatened to cut off aid to so-called sanctuary cities, but has faced legal challenges. His latest threat, also seen as an unrealistic political stunt.
It's illegal, it's immoral, it's unethical, it's sophomoric, it's petulant, and it's par for the course.
According to Customs and Border Protection, there were 103,000 apprehensions at the southern border in March, the highest number in any month since 2007. This all comes on the heels of the firing of 2 Department of Homeland Security officials, the Homeland Security Secretary and the Secret Service Director, and still threatening to send more military to the border.
Are you asking for more troops on the border as well?
And we're going to put more troops on the border.
President Trump has publicly backed away from his threat to close the southern border, but the New York Times is reporting that last week during his trip to the border, he told his now acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleenan to close the border to migrants, and if he faces any legal repercussions, he would pardon him. Now, officials tell ABC News the pardon offer was a joke, and President Trump is tweeting that it's not true. Dan?
All right. Thank you very much, Tara, at the White House this morning. So much to talk about here. So let's bring in ABC News chief political analyst Matthew Dowd. Matthew, good morning. Let's start with immigration. What do you make of these ideas of the White House shutting down the border or busing migrants to sanctuary cities? If you talk to his defenders, they'll say, look, this is the president who's looking at a serious crisis on our southern border, and he's just trying to come up with solutions.
Well, I don't buy that. I mean, we know this has been the signature issue of President Trump since he started running for office when he came down the escalator at Trump Tower. This has been his issue. It's all related to building the border wall. This has been the way he's tried to forge himself into this race. But if he really wanted to fundamentally solve this issue, he would be gathering together the nations of Central America, where most of these refugees are coming from, and then they go through Mexico to come to the southern border because of threats of violence in their home countries, because of lack of food, lack of shelter, and all of that. And so if he wanted to really solve it, he would do that. I think he continues to want to make this a political issue. The problem for the president and the GOP is that we had a test case for this issue in the run-up to the midterm elections, where the president again tried to bring up this issue. And as you remember, in that election, voters voted overwhelmingly for a new Congress, a new House of Representatives. And so I think he's going to continue to bring this. I think we're going to be faced with this for 20 more months up until his reelection campaign in November of 2020.
And 2020 is already fully underway. Let me ask you about another big political story this morning. The president sent out this tweet with the words, "We will never forget." And below those words, a video that features graphic images from 9/11 interwoven with the words of freshman Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar. In the video, she refers to the events of 9/11 as, quote, "some people did something." Democratic presidential candidates are now actually rushing to Omar's defense, but doesn't defending her put them in an awkward position given what she said about 9/11?
Well, I think in this context, while Representative Omar has said a number of things that have been concerning along the way, I think in this particular case, I think the Democrats are on much more solid ground in this. I think we have to put the president's comments in that, what he tweeted out, in the context of what he wanted to do, which was ban all Muslims initially. He proposed that initially, and also of making up a story that he said he saw thousands of Muslims cheering on 9/11. This is a president that is using 9/11 and using the religion, Islamic religion of Representative Omar, in a way I think that divides the country. It's our country was founded on the idea many religions could come in here, and I think the president is using this to divide us.
Matthew Dowd, we always appreciate your analysis on a Saturday morning. Thank you.
Well, Dan,